It's the biggest exhibit ever at Union Station, and it opens this weekend. We take you inside King Tut. Plus, we're joined by Union Station CEO George Costello and the exhibit's producer. Also this half hour, a primer on next Tuesday's election. A slew of Kansas City ballot questions may make for a lengthy trip to the polls. We'll dissect those. Plus, independents picking a new mayor, streetcars back in the news this week, and Kansas City makes the cut as it continues its quest to host the Republican National Convention. Hello, I'm Nick Haynes. Good to have you with us. Our pre-election primer straight ahead, but first, get ready for Tutankhamun. Experience the treasure-filled burial chambers of Egypt's boy king just as British archaeologist Howard Carter discovered them 92 years ago now. That's the claim of exhibition producers behind the discovery of King Tut, the first stop in the country for a more than 1,000 artifact exhibit that has already been touring Europe since 2008. While the exhibit is everything from golden chariots and thrones to the iconic death mask of the pharaoh himself, these are reproductions. Original Tut artifacts have toured before, but they're now back in Egypt, which is in turmoil. But will that quell the enthusiasm? Producers say the artifacts are faithfully crafted by Egyptian artists to the smallest detail, and visitors will get to do things they've never done before, like enter the tomb chamber by chamber and encounter the treasures just as they were placed when they were sealed up with Pharaoh Tutankhamun more than 3,000 years ago. And joining us now is the king of Union Station, or should I say the president and CEO of Union Station, George Costello. Thank you so much for being with us. We're also with us is Christoph Schulz, who is the executive producer of the discovery of King Tut exhibit from Germany. Thank you so much for being with us. I want to start with you because this exhibit has been in Europe, has been seen by over 5 million people now, has been shown from Berlin to Paris. This is the first stop on a North American tour. So why Kansas City, though, Christoph?
Oh, well, Nick, we have been excavating, if I could say so, for venues in North America, from Montreal to Pittsburgh, from Boston to San Francisco. And a little while ago, I received an invitation from Union Station that they are looking for a major exhibition to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Union Station. And I booked a plane ticket, came to Kansas City and saw a wonderful museum-like exhibition hall. And we shook hands almost on the spot, and that's why we are here.
Now, this is the largest exhibit you've ever put on at Union Station, George? Larger than Titanic?
Absolutely. It takes the entire 20,000 square feet of the exhibition. So you've been to many of them, from Diana to Titanic, and you know how we start the exhibition in that secondary area. We are now starting the entire exhibition at the very beginning. So when you enter, you're almost entering a tomb, and we'll also have some special artifacts from our collections as well from the Kansas City Museum.
We've got more than 1,000 items in this exhibit, but some people say, oh, these are replicas, though. These are not the real thing. Why replicas, Christoph?
Because this show would not be possible without replica. For example, the heart of the exhibition is the reconstruction of King Tut's tomb. 3 large burial chambers. Only these 3 chambers contain approximately 500 objects. Imagine this staging with fragile original artifacts.
If you have been, though, and seen some of the original pieces, there was, for instance, a exhibit on King Tut in Denver back in 2010, 2011. If you've seen some of that, why go to this particular exhibit, George?
When you enter the discovery of Tut, you will recreate and re-experience what Howard Carter experienced at the moment that he found those experiences and the tombs. That is the difference. You will have a complete audio tour. You will be fully immersed in amazing film and education, and then you will enter what I would tell you to be no finer than the Metropolitan Museum of Art, and you will see over 1,000 objects. It is breathtaking. I have seen this exhibition in Nuremberg. We're not going to bring anything to Kansas City and our reputation without experience in it. I had the opportunity to see it with almost 175,000 people, but that day, well over 4,000 couldn't move in the experience. It is breathtaking, and we're going to be very proud that Kansas City will now host the international exhibition and the launching of it for North America. It's a big deal for Kansas City. It's a big deal for Union Station.
Christoph, what is the fascination with King Tut? This is was a youthful king, dies though at the age of 19, was not very well known at all. Why is there so much of a fascination with him today still?
Because it is the only pharaonic tomb which was ever discovered intact with the nearly complete treasure. All other tombs in the Valley of the Kings in Egypt were robbed and emptied over the years, over the decades, over the centuries. And only in 1922, British archaeologist Howard Carter discovered this tomb, still sealed. An entire treasure with 5,300 objects was discovered. Never before and never again until today.
Okay, you've got some really interesting other areas of this whole exhibit, and some of the things that I like is some of the more horrific parts of history. You've got the gold coffins for the young king's internal organs, one for each for the lungs, spleen, liver, and intestines, not to mention the pair of coffins for his two children, one stillborn, the other just a fetus, that are in the exhibit.
Yeah, funny enough, the old Egyptians, the ancient Egyptians believed that, for example, the heart or the liver is more important than the brain. So before the mummification, they took a hook in the nose and took the brain out and throw it away. But they kept the heart, the liver, the lung, and some other inner organs, and buried them separately in a golden shrine, the so-called canopic shrine, or the canopic jars made out of alabaster. You see this in the show.
If you think about science and technology of why Union Station and the Science Center is in existence, really we're talking 3,000 years ago that they were doing this type of experience. And if they didn't, we wouldn't have the mummies. We would not understand that process. So again, it fits right in our sweet spot of educating on culture and science and technology. So I hope everyone will come and enjoy it.
Now, this is 100 years of Union Station this very year, and I think it's October would have been the 100th anniversary of the building of Union Station. Right. This was why you're bringing the King Tut exhibit to Kansas City. Is there any other reason? What else are you doing for the centenary?
Well, this is really very important as we kick off. You know, I want you to think about this. When Howard Carter found King Tut, Union Station was already in operation in 1922. We were still the second largest operating train station in the country. When you think of the monument that is on the background here at the station of Union Station, it is our monument. It is our temple. It is our tomb. Everyone in Kansas City, and I want you to think when a little child walks in and they look up and they see the amazement of that ceiling and they see the discovery, that's probably the exact same emotion that Howard Carter had when he went into King Tut. So that's why it's so important, and we have a whole year of celebrations that are coming up. We'll be working closely with our friends at KCPT. It will be Kansas City's celebration of entrepreneurship, of our dogged determination to succeed, because Kansas City and Union Station has succeeded because of that determination.
No, I have to say, on this program over the years, and I know you watch our Week in Review program a lot, and people have done a lot of bashing of Union Station over the years, but there is a headline that just appeared in the Kansas City Star from last month that said, and we didn't talk about it on the program, so you now have a chance to respond, Union Station ends its 4th year in a row with a 7-digit cash surplus. Now, after a decade of deficits, that must sound pretty good.
It's
George.
Great. I had the great opportunity to be with you when I first was hired 5 years ago. You asked me some tough questions, and I said to you that we had to earn our rights. And you know what? Our board with Mike Haverty and Bob Rainier and our board have earned the rights. 4 years, positive cash flow, 4 years of 7-figure EBITDA, and we're investing it back in Kansas City's house. You know the best part? Bi-State worked. We don't get any tax dollars. We're doing it on our own, as Kansas City has always done, and we're really proud, and it's a great time for Kansas City to celebrate. We've done it, and we proved it to the nation, and now we've proved it to the world, or we wouldn't have Tut.
One of that very first interview, and in those first years of you being the head of Union Station, we talked about that there was going to be needing to be a special designated tax for Union Station. That was the only way that it could keep being supported in this community. Is that still on the radar screen?
I don't see a tax on the horizon unless we have challenges, and our track record says that's not the case. We're earning it. Sponsors are here, and some people call us an office park. One of the most creative office parks that has a 5-story movie screen, First Run Films, a science center, a restaurant.
You don't
Tut.
you don't get tax dollars,
No,
George?
we get no tax
We need
dollars.
to speak to the mayor on the opening.
That won't work.
George Guastello, thank you so much. Christoph Schultz, thank you very much indeed for being on the program. Safe trip back to Germany. The discovery of King Tut, by the way, opens this weekend and runs through September 7th at Union Station. Up next, a look at the week's other stories in our Reporter Roundtable. You're watching Kansas City Week in Review. Is Kansas City becoming like California? Well, the election ballot Tuesday certainly may look like it, with 5 separate ballot questions for voters to decide. Chances are good you'll know precious little about any of them, because there's been very little publicity. But all is not lost. Here's your handy-dandy primer on what's at stake, helping us keep it straight. The Call's senior writer Eric Wesson, Kansas City Star political reporter, columnist and blogger Dave Helling, and Star political columnist and the host of Up to Date on KCUR-FM, Steve Kraske. Let's start with question 1. You may remember Kansas City's multi-billion-dollar sewer problem with pipes that date back to the Civil War era. Well, question 1 asks, should Kansas City approve $500 million in revenue bonds to keep the federally required modernization of the city's sewer and water system moving forward? If you vote yes, will your taxes go up, Dave Helling?
No, but your water rates will go up, as they have gone up year after year after year, most of the time by double-digit margins. And the only way to pay off this kind of borrowing is to raise the cost for water, both for commercial and potentially, eventually, for residential people. I think one of the arguments proponents are making is that indeed this is the best time to borrow money. Interest rates are low. These improvements have to be made, and therefore let's get that authority now so we can go to the market and then worry about raising your rates down the road.
Now, one of the opponent groups here claims that not all the money will be spent on the water and sewer system upgrades. Citizens for Responsible Government, Steve Kraske, claims almost $24 million of the money to offset the costs of the downtown streetcar project. Is that true?
Well, it's true that they're saying it, Nick. The city is saying it's not true whatsoever. Lynn Horsley has a story in the paper today talking about just that point. The city's saying that there is going to be, they want to combine the work being done on the pipes underground with the streetcar system, so you only dig up the streets one time. The city insisting that none of the money being spent for the sewer and water pipes will be spent on streetcar improvements.
Anything else we need to know before we head to the ballot box on Tuesday about question 1, Eric Wesson?
You either pay now or pay later, but you're going to pay. Water rates are going to change, as Dave has said earlier. Most people don't know what to do, but it seems like it's safe because it doesn't affect them immediately, but eventually you're going to wind up paying for it.
It's interesting that streetcars came up in this conversation. I'm going to go back to those ballot questions in just a moment, but as we were talking about streetcars were back in the news this week as the debate over expanding the city's streetcar system moved from City Hall to a Jackson County courtroom, where a judge is hearing testimony to determine the legality of a proposed new streetcar taxing district. According to news accounts, opponents far outnumbered proponents. But does that really matter? And what is the judge in this case actually deciding, Steve?
The arguments didn't really matter. The judge is trying to determine, Nick, very simply whether this taxing district that has been established here, is it legal or is it not? This is not a pro or a con debate on the merits of the system, simply whether this taxing district is legal.
And a lot of the opponents, according to news accounts too, Dave Helling, were from the Brookside area, and they're not a part of this anymore.
Right, they were taken out of the taxing district. This is really what's known as preemption. They go into a court to have it declared legal so that future lawsuits against the district can be dismissed. That's what happened downtown, as you'll recall. And then there will be a vote to establish the district, and then a vote on whether or not the taxes that would be used for the streetcar would be applied in this case. So there are really 2 votes of the people plus the court case before this ever happened.
3 new routes as part of the expansion, and a lot of the focus was placed on the Brookside area, which is not going to get one. However, there's a Linwood to Prospect route, for instance, going to benefit the east side of Kansas City. What type of excitement is there for that, or isn't there any excitement for that, Eric Wesson?
There's absolutely no excitement.
Why not?
Wow.
I think that what they're doing now is they're explaining the process. They should have done this from the beginning. They have a team together now that's doing a pretty decent job of doing it, but you got the issue coming up in the urban core. It's going to be like 3 blocks east or west or north or south of Linwood. So these people are going to have a property tax increase. The mayor was on my show last week. He said it averages out to $100 a year. But there's a lot of vacant lots over there. There's a lot of vacant houses over there. And there's a lot of businesses. And where are people going to ride a streetcar to from Maine to Prospect? Where are they going?
Well, the other reason there isn't a lot of excitement is that they haven't even built the first leg of it yet. In fact, they're some time away from actually executing the first leg, let alone the second leg. And the other expansions depend to a large degree on federal money. No guarantee of that. Hard to get excited about something.
At the same time, though, the East Side often complains when it's left out of these plans. Here it's being included, and still the city's getting criticized for it. They can't win.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to those 5 election questions Kansas Cityans will be deciding at the ballot box Tuesday. We already addressed question 1. What about question 2, which asks, shall Kansas City charge hotels and motels in the city a new fee of up to $350 a year? Why? To inspect and clean up motels where unsanitary conditions threaten public safety. Has that really become a problem?
Well, it's always an issue for sure. It comes up from time to time, but not even the Hotel and Lodging Association opposes this thing, Eric. They think it's a good thing that they keep their standards up to a certain level.
Is there anybody opposing this?
No. Bed bugs, maybe.
Bed bugs, maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Question 3 on your ballot asks, do you want to change the date when you go out to vote in your local elections to warmer months, moving the February primary to March and the local general election to June? What impact would this have, Eric Wesson?
It extends the current council's term. The general impact is the weather would be better. They get better voter turnout.
Is there any downside to it?
Not really. I don't see one. I think it's a very good idea. We would have been voting in snow and sleet this year, so you advance it by a month or 2, warmer weather, better turnout, and maybe we save money by decreasing the number of local elections from, say, 4 to 3 over the course of the year, because you're going to combine dates here.
Let me be sort of a dissenting voice. I think all of that's right. You want it in the spring and the summer when more people come out, but I always thought it was important that Kansas City's mayoral election and council elections are kind of unique and apart from other elections. They don't get mucked up in other primaries, so that we can really focus on those council elections and the mayor's election. That may be set back a little bit if they make these dates congruent with other primaries, other election dates in Kansas City.
You know, I disagree with my brother. We have local elections stacked up on top of each other in the springtime. Combine them, save some money, build turnout. It only makes sense.
That is up for you to decide, ladies and gentlemen, on Tuesday. I said there are 5 questions on the ballot. Question 4 is a charter change that requires the city to adopt a 5-year financial plan. Question 5 is another change to the city charter that would modify the number of city departments in Kansas City from 9 to 6. Now, what does this mean? Does this mean the city is getting rid of entire departments, perhaps the aviation department or the water department, Dave?
No. They're just giving some flexibility to the city manager to move the boxes on the organizational chart. I don't think it has a dramatic impact on the way citizens receive services in the city of Kansas City. It just gives the managers some flexibility to reorganize.
Is that correct, Derek? Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, it is
non-controversial stuff. You know, when it comes to the 5-year planning thing, municipal credit bond agencies want to see that. It simply helps the city borrow money, perhaps at lower rates.
And I was yawning because it's boring, because most people don't understand what it is they're voting for in that area, because they don't understand all the departments under the city manager's office. Human resources, human relations, public relations, where they move to,
they may
and
not
who
even be
controls
aware
them.
that the charter outlines what departments you have to have. That's a fairly unique or interesting feature of the city charter, that it sort of says you have to have this, a law department and these
Just
other
vote yes and move on. That's what we're talking about.
And what people are talking about is the fact that every year they hear about the budget, so they guess the budget is balanced, and they do it from year to year rather than trying to do a 5-year plan.
Also being decided Tuesday is a majority of the seats on the Kansas City, Missouri School Board. Despite all of those headlines over accreditation, 9 candidates are running for 5 slots up for grabs. What's at stake in this election, Eric?
The education of children, whether or not in Hickman Mills, whether or not Freedom Incorporated will control the board. But the general consensus is it should be about the children and not politics and not about contracts and not about who's a big dog on the block.
And the next board will have some, extraordinary decisions to make as the governance of the Kansas City District remains at issue at the state level and potentially in the courts. So it's an important job.
It's amazing to me that we're talking about this election today. Just a few months ago, it seemed like there was talk about getting rid of the board altogether, the state taking over the district. So the dynamics have changed dramatically. The board has new life here. The state willing to give Kansas City, Missouri, the district, a little more time to get its act together and perhaps regain some accreditation here.
And one other thing with Hickman Mills, with the Cerner money being put into the pot for Hickman Mills, that leaves a lot of money to be divided. And
so you need to pay attention to these. It doesn't get as much attention, but on Tuesday, voters in the second largest city on the Missouri side of our state line will be picking a new mayor. The longtime leader of Independence, Don Reimel, is stepping down after almost a decade on the job. On Tuesday, you will decide who replaces him. Two candidates, both members of the Independence City Council, are campaigning to replace him, Jim Schultz and Eileen Weir. What do we know about these individuals, and what are the issues in Independence these days? We don't hear much about that.
Well, this is kind of a yawner of election, Nick, sort of reminiscent a little bit of Sly James against Mike Burke. These two aren't contentious, aren't arguing a whole lot, aren't defining themselves very clearly for voters. Schultz, in fact, backed Weir for the council a couple of years ago. Schultz has been on the council for 12 years. Weir's just been there for a couple of years. Weir, though, seems to have the most money by a long shot, $104,000 in her piggy bank compared to $17,000 for Jim Schultz. So special interests appear to be gravitating towards Eileen Weir. Not a whole lot of issues here, kind of a yawner of an election, Nick.
I agree. I live in Independence, and I got the first mailer from both candidates yesterday, and I didn't know who was who and what the really issues are, except the street lights. We're getting new street lights in the area. Other than that,
there are LED
idea.
lights. They're getting rid of the mercury vapor lights to save some money. That's what they're doing.
What are the issues in Independence, Dave?
Well, I think they are. It's the same issues, Nick, that you find in most sort of inner city suburban communities: aging housing stock, poverty in some parts of the community. Taxes are always an issue. In some ways, that's an issue, for example, in Kansas City, Kansas. And so the next mayor and all of the officials in communities like that have to, do some pretty serious balancing of the needs of an aging, older, poorer population with the need to keep taxes low, and that'll be the challenge for the next mayor in Independence.
That and utility rates, Nick. Two of the oldest coal-burning plants in the state are in Independence. That's become an issue, those rates, utility rates going forward.
In other news this week, Kansas City makes the cut, at least for now. That's the cut for the right to host the Republican National Convention in 2016. Not so lucky were Phoenix and Columbus, Ohio, that were both eliminated from consideration. Now Kansas City is one of just 6 cities vying for the GOP's main event, along with Las Vegas, Denver, Dallas, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. By surviving, you did an article this week that suggests, Dave Helling, Kansas City met or exceeded the GOP's requirements for hotels and transportation?
Right. If they had not met at least those minimum standards, they probably would have been kicked out of consideration. That's what this first cut is really all about. But the bigger question going forward is financing. The Republicans have made it quite clear that they want to make sure the host city has plenty of money to pay for all the things they want. And that's particularly an issue now because Congress has cut out another $18 million that it gave each party for their conventions. That money is gone, so either the party or the local sponsor, the host city, is going to have to raise it. So I think Kansas City's biggest challenge to stay in the running is to come up with the kind of money that the financiers in Dallas and Las Vegas and Denver, to a degree, will more easily raise, and that's really the story for the next couple of weeks.
Some folks saying, Dave, exactly right. Who's going to raise the most money here? $50 million is the opening ante. Can you exceed that? Whichever city gets that money, Nick, very well may be the host city.
You said on this program probably about a month ago that
Did I?
Yes, that Denver was the favorite candidate, and now we're coming. We've just made another cut. Are you still making that prediction?
I think
Steve?
Denver's very strong. I think Dallas will be in the running here as well, and then we'll see about Kansas City.
Eric.
One of the interesting things was that not in the conversation was crime. Because, a couple of weeks ago we were on here talking about the zoo incident, and, some of our mainstream media conservative groups were saying, hey, the crime is going to run everybody away. Well, evidently it didn't, because we made that cut.
Let me say, a dark horse candidate for this, Nick, is Cincinnati. And I say that because, A, Ohio is a battleground state. And second, it's right on the border with Kentucky, where Mitch McConnell may be in a tough race for the Senate. He may be able to claim some credit for bringing some money into the state of Kentucky if the convention goes to Cincinnati. So keep an eye on them. The fact of the matter is, none of us really knows who the front runner might be. I tweeted out the other day, the front runner is your city and another city, because everybody thinks they're at the front of the line. Even Kansas City will have to wait for this process.
Internal politics will play a factor here as well, besides the money, Nick. And again, keep in mind, this is a fight over an anachronism. These national political conventions make no decisions of any consequence. This is all about a lot of people coming to town who are going to spend a lot of money.
We're also getting a better sense this week about what this might mean for Kansas City, Dave Helling.
Well, yes, and people should be very clear. We're writing a story for the weekend. People should be very clear that conventions are fun. They bring in a lot of money, but they are also headaches for some people in terms of getting around, security. A lot of people lose money from conventions. All of that we'll explore in the Star this weekend.
And that is our Week in Review. Thank you, Steve Kraske, who you can catch every weekday at 11 on Up to Date on KCUR-FM. And from the Call newspaper, Eric Wesson. And from the pages of the Kansas City Star, Dave Helling. I'm Nick Haynes. Thank you for spending part of your weekend with us.